Hello, welcome to another weekly installment of the Wedding Film School live review show. That's not the official name, but nonetheless, I'm here today with Jay. I was out last week. So sorry for missing it. Jay and Jared.
I missed you so much.
Down. I actually did show up in chat. I commented on Jared's very attractive beard, I believe, and he did not acknowledge me. So that's what it is.
He did not acknowledge you, and you know what? I'm sorry about that, because I think that's if you're a beard person and you get a beard compliment, you should acknowledge that. It's just a weakness Jared has.
Compliment, take
100%.
A compliment. My goodness.
Anyway, how was your week? How is wedding filmmaking going for you this season, Bobby?
It's good. But I'm tired, man. I think we all are, yeah. I think sound off in chat if you're tired. I know you are, Jay. We were talking about that. Just nothing bad, right? It's all good stuff, but it's that time of year. I don't know, different people, different places, different seasons as far as when weddings show up. But for me, the fall is just crazy. So
it's all about that grind this time of year and just getting through the dog days.
I'm shooting the most right now. And in turn I have the most edits, and so it's one of those months, man. We got a couple double headers too, which I really don't do. I try not to do, but
must be nice.
Well, says the guy who has like 12 in a weekend or whatever. But with that said,
anyway, so we got some films today, and I wanted to, like always, I'm trying to think through like how do we offer value to people who are watching this. Obviously, it's great to just watch people's films and give the standard critiques that we give, but I always want to mix it up. So I did a teaser, and I want to talk a little bit. Our third film is going to be a teaser, and just talk about teasers. What is a teaser? If you're watching this and you want to learn about wedding filmmaking, one of the terms we use is teaser, and it's typically a short film, which is a smaller portion of what a lot of people call the highlight or the recap film, or even documentary, but basically a small film used for social media. We're going to talk about that, maybe some of the benefits to your brand and how we go about integrating teasers into our businesses, and also we'll watch someone's teaser and give it a little bit of critique. So Bobby, you just released a film or a video on our channel earlier this week about a second shooting.
I did,
yeah. And that's one of the things like I wanted to draw attention to. If you watch this stream, we do have a YouTube channel. You can watch videos on it. Also, if you're watching this stream, go ahead and hit like on the like button, guys. It means a lot to us. One of the things that really helps too is if you want to share this video, share it on social media, send the link out, invite some other people to check it out. It really helps us a lot. We really appreciate it. But without further ado, Bobby, who is our first filmmaker today that we are going to be reviewing?
So our first filmmaker is a name I recognize, Dylan Paradise, something like that. This is Fade to White Films, and a little bit that he let us know. So he says we had critiqued one of his films a few weeks ago, had some good constructive criticism regarding especially the color grading. So this was his attempt to improve on the color grading, looking for feedback on that, overall feedback as well. Shot on the A7S III and the A7 IV, color graded with film convert nitrate, which Jay, you and I have some experience with.
Yeah, they're partners, friends of the channel.
They're kind of a partner with the channel. There's some cool people doing cool things.
An excellent product.
Yeah, and it says decided to light the fireworks, which I'm pleased with. Some out of focus shots, unfortunately, but just one of those little mistakes that happen. So, and I don't remember, we don't ask this, and I don't know if Dylan was in chat last time, so I don't remember how far Dylan is in his, or possibly
in his journey.
In his journey. He's in chat. So Dylan, let us know. I know that we reviewed a film a few weeks ago for you. Love seeing you back here. I know, obviously I speak both for myself and Jay and Jared, that we love when people are, kind of taking what we say to heart, and then
it means a lot to us. It's such an honor. It really is. Yeah. It's like, as much as like I'm a confident guy, I don't mind saying what I think, obviously, but I also know like we're not authoritative, and our word is not definitive, and anyone who's willing to subject themselves to this is someone, you got courage, and I appreciate it. So let's check out the film. How about that, Bobby?
Let's do it.
Lauren, we all know Dustin found an exquisite gem when your paths crossed. Brenda and I remember the first day we met you. It was so comfortable and just felt so right. Eventually, we knew in our hearts that one day it would be you walking down the aisle towards us. The following Mark Twain quote reads, "The two most important days in your life are the day you're born and the day you find out why." Well, I guess today, July 1st, 2022.
Bobby,
Well, I was gonna say, did we pause?
is that a
What's up?
real Mark Twain quote, do you think, or one of those Mark Twain quotes that people attribute to
Ooh.
Mark Twain?
Is it a Mark Twain quote or a Mark Twain quote?
Who knows?
I
think-
wow, yeah, I don't know.
I think Dads and Toast this is one of the highlights of Dads and Toast is quoting Mark Twain.
I'm just gonna make something up if I ever have to give a speech and be like, "This is a Jason McCutcheon quote."
I
Actually,
think-
I'm gonna do that on the next live stream.
Yeah, you could say, or just say either Mark Twain, Gandhi, Einstein, or Winston Churchill. Those
Well, they actually all collaborated and came up with this quote.
they actually just wrote a book of quotes. They have no body of work. They just have
Exactly.
quotes. Anyway, that just a question about wedding filmmaking.
We both now understand what your second day is all about. Pretty cool that every anniversary will be all.
That was a nice little edit point.
While we did meet briefly through mutual friends as teenagers many years prior, it wasn't until May 29th, 2015 that our paths would truly collide, and our lives would be changed forever.
Never was an early riser, used to be an up all nighter.
Can we still license
Never
Ben
saw
Rector?
the
That's a thing.
morning light quite like
come
I
back?
do.
Yeah, I think he is.
Oh, I thought he went
Never
away for a
said
while.
no to a party. Never started.
What's his when we were on with Daniel for the podcast for Music Bed, he seemed to be mentioning Ben Rector a lot. So.
You've been around.
Ben Rector made the music.
It's a way of smiling.
Like, could we even make wedding films without Ben Rector? Like
Well,
he's
just think where the industry would be
without white
if
dress.
we didn't have white dress. Yeah.
It's a million things about you, and I don't know what it is, but I have never known a love like this.
This is a beautiful song. Oh,
I'll be forever grateful of the fact that cars require regular maintenance. I was 1 month into my new career at the dealership, and you were at the counter paying for your oil change. I was innocently walking through the service department with a freshly poured, steaming hot coffee in my hand. Out of the corner of my eye, I caught a glimpse of my future wife. You stole every bit of my attention.
cool story.
Let's just say you had me walking in a direction I was no longer looking. I'm not sure if I apologized to the customer I crashed into, but I spilled my hot coffee all over myself. And I'm not sure if you knew the extent of the mess, but if it weren't for that walk through that department, I don't think you would have seen me. And I don't think you would have messaged me that first hello.
May 29th, 2015. We hadn't seen each other in years. I was curious to know who Dustin Davey had become, so I sent you a message. June 27th, 2015, you sent, I was thinking about asking this girl I like to go out for a drink or maybe an appetizer somewhere, but I'm too shy. My response, assuming that girl was me, just do it. And next thing you know, we are at Boston Pizza on our first date. I remember feeling like the conversation was so easy. Even on that first date, I could see how insightful you were, reflecting on your life experiences so far. You were serious about some things and goofy about others. You made me think and you made me laugh. Things I've continued to love about you these past 7 years. The bill was paid and we got up to leave, quickly realizing neither of us actually wanted to. So we went back in, sat down, and kept talking. I remember the first time you told me you were coming to meet my parents, you let it slip that you were nervous. I told you not to be, but that I thought my mom was too because she was fixated on what tablecloth to use. I have been through my darkest days the past couple of years without her. And you have been my light.
one of the most caring and thoughtful people I've ever met. And in areas where I'm weak, you are strong. The list of reasons why I love you is endless, and you add new things to it every day. The opportunity to love you is the best thing that's ever happened, and I'll never take it for granted. I'm so excited to become your husband today, and I can't wait to see what the future holds for us. I love you.
I've never known a love like this.
You inspire me to pursue my dreams and goals, and I feel like I can do anything with you in my corner. I love you and can't wait for the rest of our lives together.
Dustin, you may kiss your bride.
Hold on tight. Hold on tight. Hold on tight. Hold on tight.
Wait, hold on. Let's see if it does. Here we go.
This is important.
What?
Oh.
Come on, you can't. You
You can't be fade to white and not fade to white.
You gotta fade to white. You fade to black.
Dude. Huge.
Biggest critique.
So I'm not critiquing anything anymore. I'm done. Wow, nice of Jared to pop into the chat. Yes. I don't know if Matt, who is Matt Johnson, is going right now too. If he is, sometimes it happens. It lines up that way. What are you gonna do?
All right, Bobby. So, like, well, if you're watching and you haven't seen it, what we like to do is a round of what we loved about the film, what we liked about it, what we thought was good, and then maybe some stuff that we think they could do to improve. And here's the goal. The goal is always to help the filmmaker basically just get better, maybe one level up, maybe charge a little more. We're not trying to make a perfect film, but just help this person improve.
Yeah, it's what are the most pressing issues? What is going to make the most impact for your next?
Yeah, what
your
can they
next
do? And so, Bobby, what did you like about the film?
Yeah, so I first want to say, I don't remember which film of yours we reviewed before, and I wish that I did because I think that's somewhat helpful. I know you mentioned that we got on your case about the color. I'm going to let Jay speak to the color a little bit better on this one because A, I think he's more technical with it anyway. B, he has a higher quality video that he's looking at because I'm looking through Zoom. But if I'm remembering correctly, I think you definitely did better with your color. I think there's things, that still maybe need some work, but I think that's a plus, right? Because that's growth.
Yeah, and I'll just pop in, and that way we can move on.
Yeah,
I think the colors, honestly, totally fine. I think the only color issues I saw that I would really call out were more in camera, like white balance, and it's not really technically color, but a lot of exposure issues.
Yeah.
But I actually think the color grade was totally fine. I watched it, and I was looking at the skin tones, and I think you did a good job.
Cool. Things that I like. I think you got some awesome, especially the beginning firework shots that you used. I think they're great. I think that can be a tough situation. I think you pulled it off right with the light, which you probably needed unless you were going to silhouette. Like, I think this is like super solid, right? I think that you, in the very beginning, and I don't want to go too far on this compliment because I'm also going to it's also a negative in some other scenarios, but you did use, especially I think it was right with the fireworks and the beat of the music, it was like a really good, Jay actually said something, but it was a really good cut. It was really good use of the music in that specific scenario. I also really I thought you had some really good bridal prep shots. There were some shots I maybe didn't like as much, but there were some really solid ones. Some slightly more interesting framing, use of light, etc. And I think, I am going to come back to kind of the editing, and some choices you made, but I do think that you use good pieces of audio. You told a good story like that. I really like the light there. She has a low rim light and she has some nice shadows there in that shot. I'm assuming that's lining up with what I'm talking about from what I'm seeing. But yeah, so I think those were some solid things that you did on this film.
I think what's most important about wedding filmmaking is connecting with the filmmakers' clients in the way that they're like, it's a family heirloom you're making. And I felt like the most successful thing you did in this film was the storytelling. I felt like you got a bunch of now given these people told the story for you, they gave you a lot of material, you know, whether it be, I know this guy worked in a mechanic's place, they had somewhat of a fortuitous meeting, a little bit of a meet cute. And then I also think connecting to the mother passing away. My wife's mom just passed away a few months ago, so that definitely connected with me on an emotional level. And so I think you look at the storytelling, and I think it was very successful. I also think a lot of nice composition throughout the film. That I could tell when they felt comfortable. And when they felt like they were getting the shots that they wanted, and they were using foreground well, they used window light well. There's a lot of things that were done well. So now let's talk about the stuff we think they can improve on. I'll go first.
Cool.
One little thing, and this is just my opinion on this, so maybe that's why I put it first. My opinion on this sequence right here, Bobby, with the just this shot, is I think it would look better if they were backlit a little bit, because I'm losing half the guy's silhouette.
Yeah, I do kind of agree. So, you know, when I had originally said, hey, I like what you did with the fireworks shot, and then you went to this frame, I was kind of thinking like, I think this shot works, and I think
it's definitely better than no light.
It's definitely better than no light, and I think that's how I should, rephrase my compliment, because I do agree. I think the position of the light should not be straight onto that.
Yeah, I think I would
be more dynamic.
I would probably backlit them, because I think the silhouette's a little nicer. But even if you did want to front light them, I would probably swing it out a lot farther
to the side or something. Yeah.
Anyway, that's a small thing. I think the biggest critique I have, one, and they're kind of connected, so I'll make them one critique, which is
cool.
I really felt like the audio quality was all over the place. Like you were using all different audio sources, and it was very obvious. Like you would go from like something that felt like room recording to something that felt like a direct feed, and it was just like there's a thing in audio recording called proximity effect, which is like basically the way distance from a source affects a microphone recording. And if you're not cognizant of the proximity effect when you're cutting together any kind of film like this, you're going to be cutting all over the place, jumping all around, and like it could be disrupting, a little distracting, I think. And I think the next thing is having to do with audio is just the way that you were seaming songs together really didn't work for me. Yep. Like I think I counted 4 songs and kind of like the same song in and out. They're different keys. They're stopping at random times. Like the last song, it was like a mini outro. Like for like
I'm gonna definitely touch on this stuff too.
Yeah, I felt like it was just weirdly off-putting to me, and it made me feel a little bit like whiplashy as I'm watching the film. I was like, whoa, what's going on? Like, what was the reasoning? Why? Like, I felt like it could have been done a lot more elegantly, and I felt like the story could have been. It was a good story. We should have just simplified it and made it a lot cleaner. I don't think you need to be ducking in and out of songs like that. And if you are doing it, it should feel natural. It should feel good, and it should feel intentional. And I felt like it didn't really feel that way.
Yeah. So I'm gonna piggyback. I actually have a couple of things that I think could use improvement, and then I have a question for you, Jay. But a couple things first to piggyback off Jay. What I wrote down is that you basically have what I thought was going to be 3 parts to this film, what ended up being 4 parts, and they're almost like completely standalone edits. There is very little flow between them. I know that you're trying to make these transitions, but they're just too harsh. And part of it is, the music choice and the way that they're lined up and the way that they're faded in and out. But some of it is like this hard fade to black that just like, I caught both Jay and I by surprise. We were just like, oh, wait, what? Before that aerial shot that we just saw. So that, I think that is the biggest thing that you could work on. Try to make one, like, I know it is a thing, and when it's executed well, Jay, myself, other people give props, right, to when they're these little intro sequences. I really like them. I think Jay has mixed feelings about them. I think it probably depends on how well they're done in the edit,
they're
whatever.
good.
Yeah. But like, this seems like you're reaching for that and thinking like, oh, if I make these little segments, it's gonna be way cool. But it's like, this just didn't work in that way, I don't think. So I would focus on making a much more cohesive film where it's not so abrupt as you're changing music and you're changing.
I wanted to
points of the
add to
day.
what you were saying, Bobby, because I think we were talking about an edit. Me and one of my guys, we were walking through an edit today, and it was like a 12 to 14 minute piece, right?
Yeah.
And we were talking about the piece, and we were thinking through like, what are the sections of our story? And so we're like, well, we have this rehearsal dinner, but the day before we had a clam bake. Maybe that's one part.
Mm-hmm.
They're technically different days, but I think it will read fine if you watch them as one part in the video. Okay, well, when does getting ready get integrated? Can that happen chronologically? Does it happen in the beginning? Like, when do I integrate family portraits? Like when do I integrate the couples portraits? Are those outside of time? Can I use them throughout the entire piece? Like, there's a lot of like questions you're answering about how you lay a story out. Is it just emotive blocks where it's like, this is about commitment, this is about this? I felt like there was none of like that really plan.
Yeah.
Like that, and if it was if you did have a plan, it just wasn't obvious to me, and so maybe clarifying that with your edit.
And I think going into like, even though you have these parts and these sections of a day and of a story, there's still an overarching theme, and this felt like almost different themes. Like the first theme was like the intro and the dad. I don't know if it was father of the bride or father of the groom or somebody, right? It's like his speech, and it's this like cohesive story, and then it's just like boom, new day, and this like weird day to night transition thing, and like, I don't know.
I think it was all one day too.
Yeah, they need to just like fit together better.
Yes.
One other small thing, and so it's a small thing in yours that I didn't like. I think it lends itself to a bigger thing. So you have this, we just saw it like maybe 30 seconds ago, this shot of the groom tying his shoe, and then you overlay.
I didn't like that either.
Yeah, you overlay or you transparent or whatever. The bride tying her shoe. And like, I get the idea. I'm always a fan of trying to push your boundaries and being creative and whatever. But like, I don't dislike the effect. I dislike the use of it here, because why the F would you use it on a shoe shot? Like, it's not a good shot. It's not an important part of the day. It's not interesting. There's an electrical outlet behind him. Like, the shoe shot, I don't even shoot it at most weddings, honestly. Like, and that's just me and my brand and whatever, but like, it's just like, I don't mind, like, do it on a different shot, I guess is what I would say.
I think when you put the little hot sauce on your film, it should be on something you want to actually enhance.
Thank
not
you,
on
Jay,
something
for putting words to what I'm trying to say.
Yeah,
that's
it's
exactly.
Just, it's like, you don't
like,
really.
you're drawing extra attention to it. Make sure you're drawing it on shots that are good.
Yeah, the symmetry that you're trying to prove is like they both wear shoes.
Yeah.
Like,
so do I. We can connect on it.
You could, what if you just showed you the filmmaker tying their shoes too?
Yeah. Okay. So a question for you, Jay. This is something that he brought up. He said, "Hey, I am aware that I had some out of focus shots." So one of the big ones, although there were some other ones, the bride's vows, the super punched in shot on the bride's face, saying her vows as she's choking up, right? And she's saying, I was in one of the darkest times of my life. Or
this one right
here. Yeah. And she's choking up, and, beautiful emotion.
Yeah.
Really the culmination of their story and how much he means to her and how much he's been there for her and all this. But I don't know. The focus looks like it might be on the maid of honor.
It's on the flowers, kind of, and the maid of honor, yeah.
So first of all, this is just a like, whew, like, man, if there's anything that needs to be in focus and you're going to use this shot and you don't have a different one, it's got to be here.
Well, the interesting thing is he does have a different one.
Yeah. So this looks like maybe it was like handheld or something. I don't know.
I still would.
Like, he just wasn't recording. Like, man, I would be recording that whole time. But with that said, Jay, you have this emotion, this, you know, these great words, and you can use the words still, right? Because that's an audio track. You can put it under something else. Do you show the shot with the emotion when it is distinctly out of focus?
No way.
No,
you can't show
way.
that.
I'm the same answer. Yep.
It makes you look like you don't know what you're doing. Like, the next client is going to be like, oh, so that's great. I'm going to hire you, and you're going to get my valves out of focus. That's awesome.
Yep.
Two things
I'm not putting that out there either.
Yeah, that. B, manual focus. C, this is my rule. Whenever there are valves, wherever the action is, the camera has to be manned. Mm-hmm. So
I'm running all the way around.
I'm running all the way around. I run from
over here. Bride's vows, whoop, I'm over here.
That's what you got to do. And because if you have a second or whatever, or an assistant, that's their job, whoever. Usually I'll be like, hey, I'm going to stand over here for groom. You're going to stand over here for vow. We're both going to get the faces. If you're covering it that way. Sometimes you shoot it from the center. I don't know. But in this case, that seemed like an important shot for you.
Yep.
And I would have had it manned. If it's on auto, which I don't think most people wouldn't do, but if that's what happened, definitely make sure it's on manual. But one thing I know happens is people set up a composition before the ceremony without a stand-in. What I would encourage you to do is ask someone there, hey, is this where they're going to stand?
Yep.
Stand there, compose your shot. Do not shoot on the most wide open. Like, set any coverage angle.
Go to F8. Who cares?
At least 4.0.
Yeah.
At least 4.0. And a bright day like this, you could go to 5.0. But the whole entire point is, like, if you miss that position a little bit and they move around or they do something different than you were expecting, you can still be in focus. And the other thing is, if you look at that position and you set your shot up and they're not standing where you practiced, that's an alert for you to know, I need to go check the focus on my camera. I need to run
over there and make sure, because they're not going to move much during the ceremony. That's one of the nice things. But where you don't know necessarily exactly where they're going to be, and then you kind of set all your cameras. Then if you notice they aren't there, you can go change it. And Jay, one thing, if you are newer, maybe you don't like, and I'm not saying this is the case, but like if you don't know camera settings really right, being wide open 2.8, 2.0 is going to be shallower depth of field. Being closed off F4, F8, F16, whatever is going to give you more in focus depth. There have been times, Jay, when I have gone into a scenario where I know I cannot man this camera. I know roughly where they're going to be. I'm going to have somebody stand there. I'm going to pull focus. I am going to bring this camera up to its maximum ISO that I feel comfortable using, 1600, 3200, whatever. And I'm going to crank down my aperture until it's exposed right. And I'm just gonna, like, that's the way I'm gonna
infinity focus.
Yeah. Yep.
One other critique I would make about this composition, and this is just a personal thing, but I think a lot of people would agree. When I look at this composition, the wider shot in general, and maybe he has some changes throughout the film, but I always like to have the officiant in the frame as well if I can.
I think the setup that he had, maybe it wasn't doable. I feel like the officiant was tucked behind the.
I would just really swing that towards the back aisle more than personally.
Yeah. I always prefer that back aisle shot anyway when I
like,
can get it. But
yeah, the biggest thing is just like, that's flatter in terms of depth of focus. If you can get all three of them in a similar plane. When you're shooting that close, they're definitely not going to both be in focus, which is going to make your job harder. I don't know. I'm a kind of a stickler for ceremony coverage, because I always tell people we're not making a perfume commercial. We're covering an event.
Yeah.
And I think that matters. So anyway, I thought it was a good film though.
All that said, it's a solid film. I think it's definitely an improvement from your last film, if I'm remembering correctly. And I think the biggest takeaway, Jay, though, is that you need to fade to white on the end of every film, and minus 10 points for that.
Yeah, minus 10 points, or change your wedding film to fade to black.
Fade to black films. Yeah, or just change it based on what you're gonna do.
Yeah, fade to red.
Yeah.
All right. Well, hey, thank you so much for the submission. I apologize if we were a little brutal. I think There's a lot to love, and I'm sure the couple really loved that film. I think the storytelling
Yes, that's
was great.
also a good point. It's always nice to like fall back on. We as wedding filmmakers with lots of experience and opinions and whatever might dive into it, but like ultimately I'm sure the couple loves it.
And I shoot stuff out of focus too, by the way.
Oh yeah, we all make mistakes, like they happen 100%.
Let's move on. Second film, who we got?
We have a giant swig of sparkling water followed
Yes.
by, all right, we've got Drew from Northeast Film Collective. Let's see what Drew said here.
This is a different kind of film, by the way, Bobby. This isn't which I was like, oh, this is interesting. This is a vow renewal.
Oh, cool. Interesting. All right, so it is an A7 III with the Tamron 17 to 28 and an A7C on a tripod. Literally filmed this on a rock formation peak on the side of a cliff, a couple 100 feet above water. Everything about the shoot was sketchy, but it came out awesome. And it was a favor for a friend who is a photographer. And like Jay said, vow renewal.
So, you ready?
Mm-hmm.
Here we go. Here's this film. And
You're so short.
I know.
I can't turn.
I'm not making you turn. Wow.
5 years ago, I chose you, Justin. I chose you to share the ups and downs in life with, the funny moments and the sad ones. I chose you to have two beautiful little girls with and build an incredible life together. And I will continue to choose you for the rest of my life. 5 years ago, I vowed to you that I was going to be the best wife I can possibly be. And I intend to keep that promise for as long as that I'm on this earth. Because of you, I laugh, I smile, and I am able to pursue my dreams. Each day, I look forward to sharing my life with you, caring for you, nurturing you, and being there for you. I promise today, as I did on our wedding day, to love and cherish you through whatever life brings us, even when the Vikings continue to blow every single playoff game. Justin, I take you today, tomorrow, and forever. I love you to the stars and back, because as Kinsley would say, the stars are farther than the moon.
In the 5 years we've been married, life has changed because of you. You have challenged me to do things I didn't think were possible. Your passion for life pushes me and inspires me to be the best version of myself. I always have people tell me you're so lucky. You have a wife that likes to hunt. I have people tell me you're lucky your wife likes to ride buggies with you. You're so lucky for this. You're so lucky for lucky for that. I am damn lucky. I'm lucky to get to call you my best friend. I'm lucky you're an amazing mom, and I'm lucky I found my soulmate and we get to continue to build this amazing life together. So today, I vow to always remember how lucky I am.
You did it.
Yeah, I made it through.
You can pull away from each
Did you
other's
though,
hand
buddy?
and
Did
grab
you
onto
make it
the
through?
ends of the rope and pull the knot together, sealing your love in an infinity knot. It is with great pleasure that I conclude the ceremony of renewing your vows of marriage. Please celebrate this now. It is the time you've been waiting for. You may kiss.
I love you.
I love you too.
It's not a pleasing sound.
I now present, again, Mr. and Mrs. Pierce, again.
I want to rematch real quick.
Wait. We did it.
We did it.
We did it. Yay.
We renewed our love.
Now they're in love again.
All thanks to that. All thanks to the balloon.
A powerful balloon. Looks like this person's fading to white. They're stealing your job.
Oh, fade to gray, actually.
Fade to gray films. All right. So that's, I don't mean this critically. That's a bit of a weird one, right, Bobby?
Well, it's just different. I actually want to speak. You want me to just dive in?
Yeah, why don't you start right in? What do you like about it?
Okay, so kind of on that note, so I'll start with this one. I like this as a concept. I mean, it's another way to get some business. Maybe, they're down to do it on a Wednesday after.
We can make repeat business out of our clients.
Yeah, repeat, which we never thought was possible. But what I really like is it's a different type of film, even though it includes some of the same things, vows, couple shots, whatever, right? Like, it's this encapsulated moment that's like, somehow it's different. And I feel like I always have thoughts, and then Jay like actually like solidifies how I want to say them. So maybe you have a thought on this, Jay, but like a wedding film, we're going in and we're capturing this day, and then we're kind of making a mix of what we want and what the client wants.
Well, the story is the event.
Yeah, whereas this is just like, it's the story of this little moment in time. It's not the whole day woven and broken down. It's just like, it's almost like it's not a doc edit, right? It's not a 30-minute long thing or whatever, and there's more beautiful visuals.
Yeah, I wonder how much of the actual vow renewal he cut out.
I feel like not a lot, and I think that's what I'm maybe getting to, is it feels like they kind of went out there, they read their vows, they tied their knot, they let go of their balloon, and we kind of like were a witness to this whole full moment with some more
that's why I thought it was interesting to bring out there, because there's a lot I didn't like about it, to be honest.
Yeah,
and things that I think could be done better, just technically speaking. But in terms of like storytelling, I can't hold it to the same standard of a normal wedding film. And it just made me think. I thought it was interesting.
Yeah.
And, I do think beautiful. Like I was watching it and thinking like, I felt like it was like a very sincere moment that we captured and that we got to witness.
Yeah, I agree.
And I felt like that's a win. Like I can't imagine
another great example of something like the couples loves this, I'm sure.
Oh, and this is what wedding filmmaking can do. This is why it's a beautiful art form, is like we have an opportunity to like actually enhance people's lives with our art.
Yeah.
And when I was watching this, I was like, I want to judge it on technical, and because I think this filmmaker can make better films. Yep. But I also think I wanted to highlight it for everyone to see, because I was like, this is interesting, and I think it shows like these are normal folks.
Yeah,
just normal folks on a rock.
Yeah.
So that's cool.
So actually, I'm curious. Matthew King in chat says he knows that location. Where is it? I'm curious to know. But with that said, the one last thing, and then Jay, if you have more to add as far as the positives, the one last thing I want to say is I do think we do also need to acknowledge that, like, you went into what might be a more tough scenario and you tackled it pretty well. Like, yes, there are technical issues. Yes, there are things we're going to say you should change, but you were also shooting up on a rock cliff. And they never left that. So, to put together a little story from that too, or whatever. I think there's some props there.
I like the vibe. I'll say that too. I like the moment. I like the vibe. I'm into the peaceful. I'm into slower pace things. Even though I like hype too. I like when someone's intentionally slows it down and gives me a little more peace, a little more tranquility. I think that was a good vibe,
a good fit,
good creative choice. So let's talk about areas that we need to improve. And I think in terms of the biggest one for me, Bobby, is the audio. Like, there's a couple audio like quality. Like, if you're gonna be doing this, and you got to figure out a way to get audio on that bride. And I think that this is the show. It's not like just a simple vow reading and then a first dance and then a parent dance. Like, you don't have all these opportunities. Yeah. So I kind of feel like you should have found a way to get a direct recording on all your subjects, because her audio is, you can just hear the distance. And that bothers me. I think the other thing about the audio is I can see his mic cable dangling the whole time. And the other thing about the audio is, and this is like, to me, my biggest critique, because those other things you could tell me like, she wouldn't wear a mic. Okay, I get it. Like, there are times where that doesn't work out. And Oh, it was tucked in, but the mic cable came out. Okay. I don't really think you need to include all that sniffling and all that just really like, and it was peeking out the whole time. Like, and because I'm looking at my levels, I'm like, am I peeking out? Nope, I'm not peeking out. That was peeking out in the recording. And so you're square waving that thing. And it was, I can tell there's a lot of noise cancellation on it. So it's like very brittle sounding. The whole, like, it was very hard to listen to. It like hurt my ears. A lot of what I was hearing. And I think like you gotta just get that right. If you're gonna make a piece that's this simple, where it's like if I make food with 4 ingredients, Bobby, they need to all be high quality.
Yeah.
Every part needs to be high quality. And the last thing I would say is not crazy about the grade. I can understand it, but it's not crazy about the color grade. What I'm really not crazy about is the film overlay throughout the whole film. It was driving me nuts.
Oh,
it's not a good look.
It's that hurt you so much.
It has color shift too. Like I can tell it's shifting all its colors. There's just a bunch of stuff about technically that I'm just and last thing is more of like I just wonder if you could have documented them walking up. Or some part of the
they kind of did walk up.
It needed
there was a shot of that.
It needed an additional sequence. It really did. It needed something else in the film to like break up the visuals.
Yeah.
And this is the last thing. Say you're like, I want to show the sniffling. I like it. Okay, we can agree to disagree. Show the person sniffling at least. If you're gonna have like things that are kind of disruptive, like at least let me see his face when he's crying.
Yeah.
Because then I'm just hearing like. In my ears. You can cut that out if I'm not seeing it.
Yeah. Cool. So my first and probably my biggest thing that was first on my list here is that film grain. Look, I love a good film grain. This, in my opinion, is not a good film grain.
Film convert. Get that
film
one.
Convert, which we saw being used in I think the previous film said that they used film convert. We're big fans of it. This is not an intentional ad or anything like that, but all those little giant white dots are so distracting. The like super intense, heavy film grain. I love a little bit of grain. This is not grain. This is just annoying.
It's distress. It's distressing.
Like little stars, yeah. And so I would get rid of that. I don't think that's an automatic bad thing, but to do it over the entire film. If it was like a piece and somehow it was like its own standalone, I mean, the edit would have to be different for that.
Well, I can tell that it's not a 4K film grain, by the way.
There you go. There you go, guys.
I can see that. Look over here. You can see the little squares in the overlay.
Oh, yeah.
And so, like, that is actually bleeding into your whole film.
Yeah. So beyond that, that's the biggest thing for me. I think that just automatically put me off a little bit. I think there is some distinct shifts in color between your two cameras, or between certain shots or something like that. So I think tightening that up a little bit would be a good place for some immediate impact. And then one more thing that I wrote down. So I don't like. I think we're getting to it here. You have some really cool shots. I love the shot of them laying.
It's cute.
The drone stuff was like, I think, a really interesting thing. I do not like. I think you added blur in post on that drone shot. I don't like that.
Oh, it's just too much. It's just a little.
It's just too much. Yeah. And then on top of that, on that drone shot, as soon as I got that drone, or honestly, if I was gonna have them laying on a blanket or whatever they were on, move it like 6 inches higher and cover that damn graffiti. Like, that is something.
Yeah, that graffiti bothered me.
Yeah, that is where my eye was attracted to. So I think I think that's one of those things where it's like, insert yourself into the situation, it'll be worth it. I know it's annoying, and like, it's not unprofessional, but it's like, oh man, to go up and be like, hey, can we scoot you guys up a little bit, because there's this giant graffiti that says Tom in red and white letters, and it's pretty apparent. Like,
well, I think the thing is like, if a lot of people are like, oh, this is the type of work I want to do. I love this. This is personal and intimate and private.
Yeah.
If you want to do more of this work, you want the work to shine as brightly as possible. You don't want interruptions. And so you want it to be, like I said, it's simpler. This is a simple film, so every part stands out. You know,
But I will go back to what my initial thing that I said about this film was that I know this couple loved it.
I think at the end of the day, this person doesn't have a template to follow the way the rest of wedding filmmaking is. So I can judge it harshly on some of the technical things, like the painful audio and peeking out, little mistakes like that. But I think overall, in terms of storytelling, they were very successful, and I think they did a good job. And I would love to see more films like this.
Yep.
So good job. So the next thing I want to bring up with you, Bobby, is teasers. So Bobby, do you provide teasers? How do you define teaser film?
So I do. Teasers are an option. The way teasers work for me, they are included in my top collection. They're also available a la carte with any collection. If I'm really feeling, I think Jay, you and I were maybe talking about this. If I'm really, really feeling a wedding, there is a chance that I will do a teaser for it, regardless.
Yeah, I mean, I do teasers all the time.
Yeah,
for free, if I feel like it.
I think they are the most marketable thing. And also, you know, especially if you're making it for you, right? Like the couple didn't buy it. You can do whatever you want with it, because in that regard, they're kind of not your client almost for that one, you know.
So we just did this
we
teaser.
talked about this a couple weeks ago, right?
No, it's a different one, but like we just did this one
general thing.
for a planner. It's just on your phone. I'll maybe show it someday, but we just did it, and this couple had a privacy clause, so we couldn't show them. But I was like, dang, this wedding was freaking epic. How can I still get something out of it?
Mm-hmm.
You know, so like that's another way to use a teaser is like we did like basically a details teaser. We showed their back one time. We showed her dress. We showed some details, but we didn't show their faces, and we give it to the planner, let her sell me, you know, all that junk. But like teasers, they could be a teaser for the film they're going to get. They could be a teaser of one like that. What I like about teasers is you can decide a lot more what you're going to put in there, and it can be focused on whatever you think is interesting about the day.
You can really shift the focus. You can really shift the style to whatever direction you want. And it's very marketable. So I love it.
So whose teaser are we going to watch?
We are going to watch Andrew Taylor's teaser. And I believe we have no information other than
he was in the group. He's in our Facebook group.
Okay.
And Andrew, actually, this is filmed in Massachusetts. So that's what I was going to say. This is filmed near us. Yeah, Andrew lives close to me. I know that. But this is a film he made and he submitted
I think we all, Jay, before we dive in, what do we define a teaser as? Under a minute?
Yeah, I would say under a minute. Like, to me, a teaser has to fit on Reels.
Yep.
That's just my own personal definition is like, if a person can't post it on social media, it's not a teaser.
That's how I do it as well.
So anyway. Here we go.
from me now. I'm barely
So that was a little longer, and I thought it was interesting, and I wanted to include it because this is what they call a teaser, and I know a lot of people define things differently, and that's what's interesting about this business, right? Is me and you are both like under a minute long. Under a minute long, and he's like, no, well, my normal film is, I don't know, 6-7 minutes, and this is a teaser to me. So this is why it's interesting, right? Because it seems like for Andrew, the definition of a teaser is it's supposed to tease the final film.
Yeah.
So anyway, with that in mind, I think at that point, like, you're trying to do a couple things. You're trying to have something smaller on your website that people can digest. They're more likely to watch. Your next clients, future clients. Definitely this will work on social media. It's not like you can't post it.
Yeah.
But also, I think he's trying to make the couple go like, oh, I can't wait to watch the full film.
Yep.
Right? So with that in mind, I think judging it, A, on the technical aspects, and B, was it a successful teaser? So let's talk about what we liked about the teaser.
Okay, first, before we get in, the guy singing, is that like a person that I'm supposed to know?
That's what I was like. I felt really like a weird, creepy leering with that man. I was like, really looking at him.
We're going to get into that then. All right. I just was like, I don't know. Am I supposed to know who this is? Or is this just a wedding band? Okay. Sorry. So do you want to go first? You want me to go first?
You go first.
Okay. Things that I liked about it. You definitely have some very good, beautiful, nice shots. Some, not all. But with that said, like this one, Under the Veil, the intro shot, you definitely just had some great shots sprinkled in there, which is what you want for a teaser. I also think that you did, I mean, granted, I don't know what your intention was, but based on what I think your intention was, I think, like Jay said, I think this film did accomplished what you wanted it to do. There's pretty shots, and it's a general recap of the day, and it includes little portions of every part, probably maybe not all your best shots, but a lot of your favorite shots of the day. And I think that's what you're setting out to do, probably with a teaser, usually, at least something that looks like this, I'm assuming. And so I think you accomplished that. And like Jay said, you can share this on social, you can put it on your website, you can tag collaborators and vendors and whatever, and some of them will probably share it or comment or whatever. So I think this is, and it gets the couple excited because they're like, oh my gosh, oh, I remember this moment, oh, that shot's so pretty, oh, we look so good, whatever. So yeah, I think those are my two big takeaways as far as things that were done well.
I think there was a lot of good shots, a lot of very well exposed shots, a lot of good camera motion. And I like this guy a little weird, like we talked about.
Yeah, we're gonna get into that.
But I really liked that sequence where they're throwing the paper airplanes.
It's unique.
Minus the fact that the guy, I don't know how he would feel about 3 shots of him drinking out of a bottle, but he probably was fine with it. I love how it looked. It was cool. Good lens flares. I mean, there's a lot of really, 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 really nice shooting throughout the film. Yeah. I don't want to say I don't like the song or do like the song. I think maybe, man, I have mixed feelings on it. I don't, on a personal level, like the song, but I feel like it was a good song choice, if that makes sense. I do like
the song, and I think it fit.
Yes, I do too. And I would say that was an area of strength. I think he made a good choice. This is what's interesting about wedding filmmaking, right, Bobby? You're not picking songs you like. You're trying to match the couple and the day.
Yeah.
And
this is one of those good in-between songs. I feel I've used this song before.
Energy, has good energy.
It has good energy. It's not leaning too far in either direction, though.
It has drama
it's not
too.
Hype. Yeah, it has an upbeat and a swell, and it has drama, but it's not hype. It's not boring.
Good at
it's not just undertones. Yeah, it works well.
Yeah, and I like that shot a lot. Them walking down. Anyway, okay, let's talk about the areas where we think this could be improved as a teaser and as a film in general.
Yes. A couple things that I will say. I rarely comment on color. I think the color was all over the place on this. Like there
Especially
was
that stuff right there where like it looks.
Yes, and her coming down the stairs looked really weird. It looked like maybe there was some light coming in some like this shot and there's another shot. That one looks fine.
Or no, I see the overlay. Like it's either an overlay or light kind of pollution.
I think it's
something.
some light. You know, I don't know if I call it flare, but so you know, some things left to be desired, or you know, whatever. Yeah, left to be desired. Is that the phrase?
Sure.
There's like a weird like I would not. I guess so. I think there's some color things, but there's also some very good color. Like I really like the color.
That right there looks awesome.
In some other shots. Yep. So
that's
like,
Ocean Edge, by the way. This is in Newport.
Okay, cool. But then I think there's the question of my biggest concern is the choice of shots. Now, I don't know what you were dealing with on the day of. I don't know what shots you had as options to use, of course, right? So you have to work within that framework. But there are some things in here where I would not have included it. I don't like the shot of her coming down the stairs.
Ocean Cliff, by the way, not Ocean Edge.
Really
my
weird
fault.
in it.
Can we talk about that shot? Because this is I'm with the skin tone is weird, but you know what I don't like about that sequence?
There's a freaking red wheel in the background.
One,
for like a fire hose, also.
2, 3.
That one
there are 3 shots out of a teaser of a sequence that is questionable in value.
Well, and it's a sequence that we don't know what it is. Is she walking to the first look? In which case, tease the first look, because we don't know where that fits. To me, that as far as the edit goes, that is her just walking down a staircase.
Yeah, maybe 1 shot of that. I just don't think 3 shots out of a teaser.
But then you kind of go beyond that too. I think there's some other shots. There's the shot of like an empty table and the outside fire thing. Like surely there's a better shot you could put in there. And then there's the shot of, then there's the shot of the like lead singer, which is like, I think if you wanted to go the direction, assuming he's not some famous guy and the couple's like, I want him in there because he's famous and we paid a lot of money and we, you know, whatever. Like, you're not making this for the band. So, you know, there's a few shots of that guy. Again, maybe 1. I really like, and then my last thought, I really like this paper plane idea. I think that's so cool. I think you had the right angles. You needed a tiny little fill light, like just something so I can see their emotions a little bit better, in my opinion.
I'm okay with it, but I also I respect that opinion because I think
I would be okay with it if it was 1 shot, but we cut to the shot like 6 times.
I think in general, here's my biggest beef with the film. It was not a very good economy of shot usage, and it didn't have to be as long as it was. This film would be much better at under a minute. If it was like less inane,
and maybe better for you too in the
uses.
Like
the shot of the fire thing was just not a high end shot. The other thing I would say is, like, that's my biggest beef, is a teaser film should only have high-end good shots. There shouldn't be any common moments that are just meh stuff and junk, and there should be nothing in there that is distracting. Everything should be gold. The other thing I would say is that one sequence outside was super overexposed, and where they're walking on the lawn in a portrait session. And then the next thing and the last thing I would say is you would show them in a first dance, you would show them in a ceremony, you would show them. I literally have no sense of any of their guests or what the actual event was. Like, is that their first dance? Is that a portrait session? It looks like a first dance to me. I can't really tell. It was so much portrait session, and it was just them walking. Yeah, that was their first dance. I much rather would have seen a few shots where you see the crowd. Give me a sense of place. Give me a sense of the event. Like right there.
Yeah, I could see that. I think that depends edit to edit, though. Like,
yeah,
here's what I would say. I would agree with that, considering some of the other shots that made the
cut. Think of it this way. That guy is there totally in focus. 2 shots.
Yeah.
And there's no shots of any other guests.
Yep.
Like, there's a shot of a in-focus table and guests talking to the couple, but you can't see the couple. Like, it felt like you were purposely trying to hide the guests.
Interesting.
And so I just was like, I felt like this film would have been enriched by having more of a sense of what was going on and less of a perfume commercial kind of vibe. So, but that being said, I think it was successful. I think well shot. I mean, Andrew's a good shooter, and knows what he's doing. And people, I think, will love this. I think his next clients will not necessarily criticize what we're criticizing.
No. Like, this accomplishes what you want it to accomplish, and there's some great shots in there. But yeah, with everything, including any teaser that we could put up there.
No,
right?
mine are actually all perfect.
Well, that's a good point.
I haven't made
because
any...
you faded to white at the end.
Well, I've never made a mistake. Mistakes are kind of new to me. That's more of a this year thing, though.
Well, they're not new to you because you haven't experienced them yet.
Yeah.
But in theory, they would be new to you.
So this says put on your headphones for a better experience for this next film. Do you see that?
I'm already gonna.
I'm wearing my headphones.
Have thoughts on that.
Yeah.
Don't tell me what to do.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of that. I'll say you're not starting off on a great foot. But anyway, the next filmmaker.
Real quick, let's dive into comments. Just because we haven't yet. Teasers, catalog that you share on social media. Now they're all reels, no matter the length. That is true. Now everything goes to reels on Instagram, and Instagram is confusing, and I don't like it.
Yeah, it's not fun.
Lazaro.
I do think on a personal level, Bobby, if you're not making your reels vertical, your teasers vertical, I think you're making a mistake.
I've made videos on that. It is 100% true. Instagram literally just blatantly favors the exact same video. If it's vertical, it sucks. I hate it. That's life. We got to do it. Play the game.
I think
if you don't play the game, you can't win.
I think so.
Not a fan of over-directed shots. Yeah, I don't know. I agree with that general sentiment that for my vibe and my style. I didn't feel like that was crazy.
I'm fine with it. It was just too much in the film. That's all.
I also think in that, like, it really depends on your couple. And when you get, I don't know what you're shooting, CBF Lazaro, but like when you get into that really high end, like you're booked through the planner, you get very little interaction with the couple beforehand. I think that's necessary. And I think the couple actually.
Most of the films that I'm shooting, when I get time with the couple, the other day I had 5 minutes of total portrait time. 10 minutes total, 15 minutes total. Like
sometimes you just got to execute.
That's pretty much what you get. So it is what it is. So I understand that. I know that that's Newport. I know what that person's working with. So I was watching it. I didn't want to be too critical of that.
Yeah. And then some comments on not showing all your best shots, but only your best. Like, you don't need to show B-Moy is saying all the best shots don't need to be in a teaser, but only best shots should be in the teaser.
That's what I'm saying.
Meaning, don't use your whole catalog of best shots. Leave some room.
Maybe.
Leave some wanting more, maybe, but don't pack it with either make it shorter or use all your best shots.
I would say this way. The best shots for your couples are oftentimes shots that no one else cares about, which are like their friends and family. And the best shots for all your people who aren't your couples, who are your next couple, is going to be all the beautiful stuff. So I think you got to think through what is the purpose of what you're trying to make. Any other great comments, Bobby?
Nah, that's it. I just ran through.
Well, drop those comments, guys. We need all the comments. Here we go. So next film is by
Vishnu Jayan.
So I wanted to do this one because we haven't had an opportunity to do a ton of. This is an interesting wedding. I'm not totally sure all the origins of everything, but it's just different. So I wanted something different.
All right.
So here we go. Let's watch this film.
Every day I find a way through darkness. Have a smile that portrays my happiness.
this is what I was saying is interesting is like they're walking in together, Bobby. Is that interesting? Like
that's cool. I like stuff like that.
I've never seen that before. So,
I feel like I have once or twice, but like, I don't know. It's cool.
It must be.
Also, you know, to be fair, this is seemingly some kind of multicultural wedding.
Well, I
maybe
think
not traditional Western.
It looks like either. I'm not sure. I want to know.
It's kind of both sides. I actually don't know, but I wonder.
It's Christian.
Is that their choice, or is it a tradition? Maybe.
I think they're Christian, but they're not in. So it's not a Hindu wedding, but it might be India. It might be somewhere, but so it's a Christian wedding in, or India or
well,
Egypt.
Regardless,
But
it's
either way,
choice
interesting.
Or religious. I like that. I like walking in together. I think that's a cool idea.
Interesting, different than what I'm used to. So immediately, I just wanted to point that out. I was like, that it's already a different vibe. So yeah. That was not a mistake. That happened in the film.
Somebody's about to get murdered.
The dream sequence.
हम भी साथ चले संग तेरे निकले हम भी साथ चले संग तेरे निकले It's time to be true Shake, swallow and brew Love binds us true Oh, we'd be dancing like this
So,
is that the end?
That's the end. That's how I like them apples.
Man, I'll tell you what, it's not what I expected. Oh, can I take my headphones off now?
Yeah,
oh,
you can
no,
take them
that's
off.
telling me to put them back on.
No, take them off.
Okay, so look, I'll dive into it. Things that I like. I am always going to tell people that I will, even if I don't like the way it was done, I always appreciate the clear desire to be creative and try something out of the box. I think that it won't always hit. I think that in this scenario, most of it did not hit for me, but I do appreciate the willingness to try that. I think that's important. I think that's important on a personal level for the individual to be willing to do that, because it's so easy to get in this rut and to basically end up just hating what you're doing. And if you're there, you need to push yourself to do something different and creative and out of the box.
I was gonna jump onto that point because that film made me smile. And I could tell this person was having fun making the film. Like even like talk about dancing in the song, and he's like makes the groom go like what, like the little kids. Like there was just like he's throwing the kitchen sink at this film, and he's like you could tell that he's living his best life, making this film and having a good time. What he wants to do. And so I really appreciate that.
Now,
and I think that was
does
fun.
that mean it's a marketable film that like a couple's going to see and be like, oh, whoa, I really want this? I don't know.
No. I mean, I think at the end of the day, there actually is a lot of good shots in the film too. Like,
so that's another thing I wrote down that I distinctly want to compliment. There's two things that I see that this person does very good. One, composition. You have very interesting composition, like creative, unique, whatever. Like you
just knowing that the ceiling is the interesting part of that
like there's just some very good use of light and foreground and different stuff like that. So composition is definitely something that you are, it's a strong point for you. You are also, as a purely technical sense, you are a technically good editor, right?
knows a
So
lot of tricks.
I don't want either of those things to be lost. But there's the other side of that editing and stuff that I'm sure we'll get into.
Yeah. I think there's a lot of really good shots, a lot of really high-end concepts that were tried, and some of them successfully, others not. But I think this is a good shooter. Like, if this person was like available in my area and they're like, hey, I want to shoot for you, I'm like, oh, great. Like, I can work with this. I can help this person. Like, this is a good shooter who's talented. Like, there's a lot of actually incredibly complicated things that this person did. There's they literally tried almost everything you can possibly try at a wedding in terms of how they were covering it and the types of shots they were trying to get.
Yeah.
And some of them were very good. Some of them were very successful. Like right there, that's kind of interesting. Like working with the reflection and like composing, dealing with bright light. There's a lot of things that they did very well technically as a shooter. And so, yeah. And I also, like I said, I like the sense of fun. I enjoyed the sense of fun. I enjoyed that they gave it their absolute highest effort. And I'm sure the couple really enjoyed it as well. Let's talk about some areas where they can improve. So again, we're judging this very much in terms of the lens of Western films and our market. We can't speak towards other parts of the world. Like every once in a while people are like, oh, people in our area love this type of stuff.
Yeah. And
we can't speak towards that. So we'll speak towards our own sensibilities. So Bobby, what could be improved?
So look, while I love the creativity, to me, in a general sense, both on the transitions and the sound effects, really not the shooting. I like the creative shots, but transition, sound effect, especially the sound effects, honestly, too much, too loud, too in my face. To me, it doesn't.
I'm going to show you my favorite. This is my favorite sound effect, Bobby.
I like. I'll tell you
the car revving.
Yeah, like our sound effects are too loud. The sound effects are in places that don't make sense. You have this entire sequence where I thought we're supposed to start hearing the groom's vows because we see him talking into a microphone.
He was in the background, like really low.
Well, I couldn't hear him.
Yeah, it was really
quiet.
All
I hear are these like literally horror risers and stuff. I don't think that's what you want there. Again, props for going out of the box and trying to be creative. I think especially in the sound effects scenario, it did not hit for me. I like your shooting. Some of the transitions I think can work. Like they're interesting, they're creative. If that's what a couple likes and want, whatever. I also though don't really. I mean, I don't know this couple, right? I don't feel like this was their vibe.
Yeah, I think that's the biggest thing,
and I think that's what worries me,
especially with the sequence. I think it's this sequence right here. Like this sequence right here. I feel like this sound effect sequence could work. Well, that wind chimes can never work.
Parts of it,
but the concept of like a almost high tension section of a wedding film, when there's a level of drama to what you're seeing, I wouldn't do that over someone's Catholic or whatever religion that is ceremony.
Yeah,
I feel like that's
and so
it just felt wrong.
That's like my concern, and like I think Jay, it's one thing we've seen these weddings that are just like absolute ragers, like out of the box, and I know the couple is loving.
We're talking about they have sparks right there.
All right, I'll take it back. But yeah, like where like the couple wanted this like hype thing.
That's who they are.
I don't really get that vibe with this wedding and this couple.
I agree.
And then one other thing, you had a couple, like one or two really abrupt transitions, like to different parts of the day or something like that. And then the only other thing that I will say is I don't mind black and white as like a blanket statement. It's not wrong to me, but I don't feel like the use of black and white was always intentional in this film. And I think I'm not telling you it was wrong. I'm telling you that if you're going to use black and white, please, you should be able to answer the question, why are these shots that I lay out here, why are these ones in black and white? And your defense of that can be whatever your defense of that is, because it's your opinion versus mine, and that's opinion based. And I don't think it's wrong for some of this, but like, I think that's something that people can overlook about like if I ever use it in a wedding film, I want to say, oh, it's because the light looked really bad in color. There's this color shift I couldn't get rid of, or it's because I wanted this section to kind of stand alone, and I couldn't figure out another way to kind of make it its own section. I thought black and white might work, and I liked the way that it looked. But the answer shouldn't be, I don't know, I just like made some random ones black and white. And I feel like that's the case on some of these.
I think most of what you said, the fact that he was like, oh, put on headphones, right? Means,
I don't like that.
Well, I didn't like that, but I know what it means also is like, oh, I did a lot of like sound effects that moved from the left to the right. And like a lot of like effort was spent on something that I don't think actually made the film better. And I think in general, overall, this is my critique to all filmmakers. If you're going to work on a concept and you put a lot of effort into it, you know, and it isn't actually enhancing the film, you know, just be honest about that. Maybe don't put all that stuff
honest
in
with
there.
yourself.
Yes. And I'm watching
and
this.
That's hard to do.
Yeah. I watched it and I'm like, yeah, some of the sound design was nice. I think the idea was good. I think it was very ham-fisted. It was not super well executed and felt cheesy. That's the way I'll say it. And so, yeah, I think a dab will do ya when it comes to that stuff. Oh, Bobby died. The other thing I was going to say was there's a couple shots in here. This move right here, Bobby, when you're doing like, that's like a fake dolly move, right? I don't like the dolly move when it's a steering wheel move like this. I want the dolly move to be this. I'm just not a fan of like this, like kind of sun setting kind of rotation on your move. And a couple times in the film with the gimbal, he did like this kind of thing with the gimbal instead of this thing. That's just me because it just feels off. It feels off. And yeah, I would have liked to see again on a film like this, maybe a little bit more of the celebration, a little more lightness. It just was so heavy the whole time, and then it got nice and light. And at the end, when I'm seeing all these people smiling, and I'm seeing, Bobby, I was saying at the end when I'm seeing all these people smiling, and I'm seeing their family, and I'm seeing this connection that they're having, that felt the most natural to me. That felt really nice, even if like it was kind of a fun song and it was a little silly. And I think like the heaviness of the rest of the piece felt out of place. But when you got to the end, it actually felt really natural, and I felt really connected to the couple at the end. So I would say, you know, try to just don't think about what you want to make. Think about what is going to make sense. Bobby's telling me to hold on. So if you're out there and you're watching this, I would tell you the same thing with your films is, if you're making wedding films, make your films for the couples you have. Of course, you want the couple you want to love it, and you want to love it too. But I think everyone will love films more when they feel like they fit the couple. Right, Bobby?
Exactly.
So that's that. And I do want to say, we kind of ripped it, and I laughed. I'm not making fun of the film. I'm just saying, like, there are parts that made me happy. There's some parts that maybe I thought were a little silly, but I felt like probably if they show this film to a lot of people, they're going to be like, wow, they're going to think it's amazing. So, you know, that's the truth.
Yeah.
So Bobby, we did it. We did another round of Wedding Film School Live.
We made it. We're here. We're on the other side. Thank you to everybody for sticking around. As we wrap up, we'd love to have you hit the thumbs up like button. Make sure you're subscribed here. Make sure you're also subscribed on our sister channel, the Wedding Film School Show, which is where we host our the video portion of our podcast, which is also available on all audio platforms. And check out some of our recent content. I just put up a new video, Jay, just yesterday, I believe, maybe 2 days ago, about how to be the best second shooter that you can be, what I'm looking for when I'm hiring seconds. And I think it's a really important discussion and thing for people to learn. I think second shooting is the best way to get into the industry. I will always and forever stand by that. Not that you can't be successful by, you know, different paths or whatever. But is Jay dead?
No, I'm just listening.
Oh.
You're talking, I'm listening.
Yeah. But yeah, so yeah, you guys can go check that out. We'll be back next week with more live film reviews. So make sure you submit. I've responded to a couple of you guys in chat, but I've also pinned the link to where you can submit your films. anything submitted, starting like today and up until next Thursday is kind of fair game for next Thursday. And if you want priority in getting your films reviewed, you can join the channel as a member, which is beyond just being a subscriber, but it's down by that subscribe button. It's the join button. You can see the different monthly prices, but it starts at just $5 a month, which goes towards this channel, helps us produce more and more free content for you guys, do the show like this, do our podcast, etc. So we appreciate our members, of course, as well.
All right, guys. Well, we hope you guys have a great day. Thank you so much for checking out Wedding Film School live here at Wedding Film School. And we got a BTS that I'm working on right now that it's taking me way too long, but I actually think I'm going to finish it in the next 5 to 7 days. So possibly next week we'll be releasing it. So
if Jay doesn't release it next week, I'm going to post his phone number and you can all text him, ask him where's the video.
It's not like I'm not active on Facebook running my mouth, so you can check me out over there. Have an awesome day, guys. Bye.
Thank you, guys. See ya.
See ya, Bobby. Have a good day.